If this is the first time anyone's came across my channel, I typically just watch one random video every single day and I react to it while I review my favorite type of cereal. So today, a lot of people have been recommending that I watch this creator called Summoning Salt. I mean, it sounds like a weird sadistic food channel or something, but we're gonna give it a watch today. I just looked at like his most popular videos and it looks like it says this is called 4-2, the history of Super Mario Bros. Most infamous level. So today we're gonna be watching that. I gotta be honest, if this guy has not come across my feed already, he's probably not worth watching, but I mean, this has like 10 million views or something. So coming into it with an open mind. Today's cereal that we're gonna be reviewing is Shredded Wheat, the H-E-B brand. I like this cereal because it has no added sugar. So I'm pretty strict and pretty harsh with my reviews for cereals that have no added sugar because I expect them still to taste good, you know what I mean? So I have my bowl here and my spoon. I actually have a little bit of cereal in there right now, but I'm gonna add a little bit more just to kind of top it off. And hopefully it'll be a good snack as we're watching the video. Okay, I accidentally spilled a little bit on in my tub there. Okay, let's add a little bit more milk here. The milk that we're reviewing today is also H-E-B's Mootopia. This one has 50% less sugar than the regular brand, so again, I think that's a win. Anytime you can have less sugar, I think that's a win. But without further ado, again, this is Summoning Salt's the history of Super Mario Bros. Most infamous level, level 4-2.
This is stage 4-2 in the original Super Mario Bros. It doesn't really look that menacing. An area at the start with no floor, sure, and an elevator gap just after.
I remember playing this when I was a kid. It was not hard.
As soon as you enter 4-2, you're able to exit it. If you hit these blocks to reveal this vine, you can climb up it and you'll be above ground.
This is
From
good.
there, you can warp to either World 6, 7, or 8. This stage has seemed so pivotal to speedrunners who have been trying to beat Super Mario Bros. As fast as possible for years. It's a gateway to World 8.
By the way,
arguably the most
even I found that skip to
so this is a level that's going to
the world skips, the 6, 7, and 8 world skip.
As simple as this level may seem, little do most people know that 4-2 has caused more pain and agony than just about any other level in the game.
Ooh. What?
Come on.
Level 4-2? The level he just said was not very menacing.
Yeah. No.
By the way, who the hell are these guys that he's showing?
Welcome to the mid-2000s. This is when the first Super Mario Bros. Speedruns were completed. Runners such as Scott Kessler and Trevor Sagan were the pioneers, and they knew that 4-2 is a simple level with a simple goal. Run through it, climb up the vine, and warp to World 8. Doing that quickly wasn't too hard.
That's all you do in the level.
Doing it as fast as humanly possible on the other
hand, the video
could
end right there.
Definitely was. It was obvious to most back then that the start of 4-2 is really straightforward. You jump across this gap, stomp on a Goomba, and then continue jumping forward until you're on the platform. Then you jump off the platform to hit the block that makes the warp zone vine appear. But this is where it got really tough. You have to tap left to slow down to nearly a stop, and then jump to reveal this invisible block. Then you tap left again just enough to completely stop, landing just to the right of the invisible block you revealed. Finally, you jump on top of the block, onto the top platform, and onto the vine.
Yeah.
Doing this in real time at full speed requires a ton of precision, and it took runners quite a bit of time to get good at it. This is Scott Kessler's 5
Even I could do that when I was a kid.
2004. As you can see, he hesitated a bit while climbing on the blocks, and clipped through the vine by accident when he was trying to climb up onto it. Yeah, the hit detection in Super Mario Bros. Is a little bit weird at times.
I mean,
runners eventually got
I definitely
better
couldn't do it as fast as them, but...
In Trevor Sagan's 507 from a few months later, you can see that he was able to get a smoother climb to the vine, ultimately ending the section with a 376 on the timer, which counts down from 400 when you start the level. And when he improved his run to a 506 a few weeks later, he once again improved 4-2, getting it smoother than ever before with a 377 on the timer.
Oh my god.
Speedrunners had established a way of getting through 4-2 very quickly. And given how short the level was, you might wonder what else
I never made it up to that fast
for speedrunners to go through the level quicker. After all, you were already going directly to the warp zone as fast as you could. But if there's one thing you should never do, it's doubt the ability of speedrunners to figure out something even faster.
There's no way they go faster than that. I literally bet everything there's no way they go faster than that.
Super Mario Bros., you're occasionally able to leave the screen you're on to enter another screen. Sometimes this other screen is an underground coin cache, sometimes it's a bonus section, and sometimes it's a warp zone. Every time you can exit the screen you're on to access one of these zones, be it a pipe, a vine, or whatever, I'll be referring to as an exit zone. Now, 4-2 is a little bit unique. Almost immediately after beginning the level, it has two of these exit zones back to back. The first one is the vine that you take to the warp zone, and the second one is this pipe a few blocks down that takes you to an underground room with coins.
Oh yeah.
But there's a catch. The game can only have one of these zones loaded at the same time. It can't say, if you go up the vine you go here, but if you go down the pipe you'll go here. So the way the game works around that is by changing what the one destination is depending on how far the screen is scrolled. For example, if you're standing here and manage to activate an exit zone in some way, the game will send you to the above ground warp zone. Now when we move forward, closer to the pipe, suddenly the next zone gets loaded. So if you manage to activate an exit zone then, you'll go to the underground section. What this means is that if you're somehow able to get into this pipe while the game still has the warp zone loaded as the exit zone destination, the game will send you to the warp zone without playing the long climbing the vine cutscene that it normally does. The only known way to do this is by moving Mario closer to the right side of the screen. The game thinks Mario is farther back than he actually is.
Did you just go into the pipe and come up the other one?
From where the screen position is. In this case, it's the warp zone. So, players had to figure out how to get Mario closer to the right side of the screen for this trick to work. You couldn't just run forward, since whenever you passed 112 pixels from the left side of the screen automatically starts scrolling, locking Mario at that 112 pixel position. One of the earliest methods of doing this was worked out in the mid-2000s by tool-assisted speedrunners.
You can trick the game to think that you have not progressed?
Tool-assisted speedruns are a little different from regular speedruns. They're not performed in real time by a human, but rather somebody goes inside an emulator and manually tells the game which buttons will be pressed
it was a
task from start to finish. In 2004, Mana published a tool-assisted speedrun that showed Mario clipping into the wall at the start. This pushed Mario forward exactly 20 pixels. Those 20 pixels were just enough to stop on the first pixel of the pipe, go down it, and be taken to the warp zone. Any farther than the first pixel of the pipe, and the screen would have scrolled too far,
What's the point of even including that?
Cache. This wall clip, however, was essentially impossible for a human to ever pull off.
Right.
Which is our main focus of interest here.
I literally just said that.
It required jumping in just the right way, at just the right angle, and then mashing the jump
That's like saying my calculator can do math fast, and then making a video about it.
Nobody thought that these inputs could be done back then. Simply put, this method of moving to the right was completely out of the question for a human. But another method was found also in 2004. Michael F. posted a tool-assisted speedrun that confused the game into wrapping Mario to the other side of the screen using the vine. This method saved about 2 seconds over the standard method of climbing the vine, and it was a humanly possible trick. However, still, real-time speedrunners didn't use it.
Right.
You see, this method of vine warping was considered to be a glitch, and for many years,
Stockfish
because of
can
rules
beat you
from
in
websites
chess.
like Twin Galaxies, glitches were discouraged and usually outright banned from humanly played speedruns. So the 2000s continued to pass, with all speedrunners playing through 4-2 by running through and climbing up the vine. But eventually, one guy had enough. That one guy was Andrew G. While he had followed the glitchless rule set for many years, by 2007 Andrew decided to ignore it. So he began to look at the options he had in 4-2. Method 1, the block clip method, wasn't humanly possible, so he quickly ruled it out. Method 2, the vine teleporting glitch, did save a couple of seconds, but Andrew wanted something better. 4-2 is such a small stage though.
How do you get better than
really anything else you could squeeze out of it? But after a while of searching, Andrew found something that would forever change the way speedrunners played 4-2. This was Method 3, the easiest and fastest humanly possible strategy, the backwards bump method. Alright, like I mentioned before,
he's just going to talk about how a task did something faster than another task.
Pixel from the left side of the screen. This is a ROM hack of Super Mario Bros. That displays how many pixels you are from the left side in the upper right corner where the time usually is. See, it's locked at 112 pixels. But check this out, if you run right in front of a wall, tap left to turn around, and then jump while brushing up against the top of it, this number moves forward quite a bit, meaning that Mario has moved forward that many pixels. You usually get Mario to move forward somewhere between 7 and 10 pixels from doing backwards bumps like this. And once again, you needed to be 20 pixels farther to the right for the wrong warp to work at all, and the more pixels past 20 you were, the more pixels you had to go down the pipe.
Wait.
If you managed to get Mario to X position 132, you could go down the first pixel of the pipe. If
Is
you
this still
managed to get
task?
to X position 133, you could go down the first or second pixel, and so on. Since it was very difficult to immediately stop on the first pixel or the first few pixels,
Right.
Andrew wanted to give himself some leeway with his pixel gain. So he elected to do 3 backwards jumps in order to guarantee somewhere between 21 and 30 pixels of gain, letting him stop basically anywhere on the pipe that he wanted. The puzzle that Andrew G then had to figure out was where to do these 3 backwards jumps. Look at how long the stage itself is. You wouldn't think there's too many different
Bro,
combinations
he's never
you could
gonna
try.
do this.
But some jump locations gave smaller bumps than others. Some
How
involved
long
waiting
can
for
you
the
drag out a
product
video to
list
say that
move,
no one's
and
ever,
some
no
were
one
impossible
a
to
task
get
is
if you did
faster than a
others
human?
first. This was the first 3 bump method used in April 2007. Notice how he's able to go down the middle of the pipe and the wrong warp still works. That's because these 3 bumps were able to push him far past the minimum 20 pixels needed. When he returned to the game a bit more than 3 years later, he had a new route.
Wait, well, that was
Rushing
his
down on this
gameplay?
section, and then the same 2 pipe jumps as before. But finally, a year later, in December 2011, Andrew was able to get some help from another guy, Weirwindle111, to figure out the ultimate 3 bump strategy. It was able to get him into the pipe at a 375 instead of a 374, and ultimately ended up saving 1 frame rule over the previous 3 bump methods. Oh
Wait,
yeah,
what?
you might not know what a frame rule is.
That was his gameplay? A human just did
Because
that.
of what
A
runners
human
call
just
the
did what a
frame
computer
rule,
can do.
You only lose or gain time in increments of 21 frames, or approximately 0.35 seconds, in Super Mario Bros. In every level other than 8-4. This is because at the end of every level, the game only checks for completion every 21 frames instead of every frame. To quote current world record holder Darbian, it's as if at the end of every level, a bus arrives every 21 frames to bring you to the next level. Even if you miss the bus by just 1 frame, you still have to wait 20 frames for the next one to arrive.
He's comparing Mario
Sometimes,
to a bus?
though, you'll arrive just before a bus comes, and you'll hardly have to wait at all. Anyway, for years, this
I'm gonna tell you right now, if I had to
method
guess,
was
that
the
analogy is
fastest
not
method
gonna
that
stick.
Any runner was attempting to complete 4-2 in a speedrun of Super Mario Bros. But Andrew G did know of one potential faster method. If done correctly, you would go into the pipe at
You're not gonna go, bro,
276
he beat a
and save the
task. He's
frame
not gonna go
rule
any
of the
faster than a
fastest 3-bump
task.
method. However, at the time, this was by far the hardest and most random method any runner had ever come up with to complete any stage
Just
in
quit.
Super Mario Bros., let alone just 4-2. It would lead to years of resetting speedruns over and over again in 4-2 just to save those 0.35 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 2-bump method, better known as Fast 4-2.
Wait, faster than what I just witnessed?
If you recall from before, you need to get Mario to Exposition 132
That's not gonna happen.
from Exposition 112 for the wrong warp to work. Those 20 pixels were possible to obtain from 2 bumps, since you get between 7 and 10 pixels from each backwards bump that you do. So if you got 10 pixels from each one,
You can't do
could
that
be
in less
exactly
than
on Exposition
3.
132, stop on the first pixel of the pipe, go down it, and be taken to the warp
That had to
zone.
be tasked.
Doing only 2 bumps instead of 3 would save another frame rule over the old 3-bump method.
It's not possible.
Andrew figured out that the 2 bumps that gave you the greatest chance of getting 10 pixels each were right here. You could sorta control how many pixels you got from each bump, but not reliably. It was so precise that getting 10 pixels was essentially just luck. On average, you'd get the 20 pixels
Just
you
save it
needed
for the
maybe
computer.
one in
A
every
human's
4
never gonna
tries.
do that.
But that was just the beginning. If you happened to make it to Exposition 132, you then had to stop on the first pixel of the pipe.
The
and
cereal's
go
pretty
down
good, by
it.
the way.
If you stopped even a pixel too soon, you couldn't go down the pipe. And if you're a pixel too late, you would go down to the coin
It's too
cache
precise
instead
for a
of the warp
human.
zone.
What's the point of
Believe me
doing
when I
this?
say that doing this was ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
But doing this combined with needing 10 pixels from each of your 2 bumps, nearly impossible. And
Wait,
to
did you say
illustrate just
nearly?
how difficult I'm talking about, I'm going to refer to a video from a guy named Patrick Lemieux. Lemieux took a stream of hundreds of world record attempts from Andrew G and overlaid them on top of each other.
Like, technically, it could be possible. Like, I'm not, yeah, I usually do people.
Whenever an attempt died, Lemieux simply removed that run from the overlay. For the first 3 levels, hundreds of Andrew Gs were tied with each other to the frame. Those same Andrew Gs entered 4-2 to attempt fast 4-2. But out of all those hundreds, just one made it to the warp zone on fast 4-2 pace.
He's gonna fail.
Whenever a run happened to make it past 4-2, Andrew fell silent. The voices of 100 Andrews that were active just a minute before now didn't say a word. These fast 4-2 attempts continued for months, and eventually years. Andrew G lost at least 95% of his speedruns that
That's
made
not
it to
gonna happen.
4-2 because he needed to save a third of a second.
You can't be faster than a
Eventually, runners stopped trying for fast 4-2 because other,
Thank
easier
God he's
time
actually being
saves were found
realistic.
in other
Runners stop
levels.
trying.
But by 2016, the world record got back to the point where the fast 4-2 frame rule needed to be saved for a good chance at the world record.
Which is
But runners
impossible.
hated doing 4-2. It was stupidly hard and largely out of your control. Darbian, Cosmic D12, Andrew G.
That's what I'm saying, why
none
are they
of these
even
guys
trying?
really wanted to do fast 4-2 anymore. Was there anything else they could squeeze out of such a small stage?
Let me save you the
Remember
time.
before how I
No.
mentioned that Weirwindle 111 helped Andrew discover the best 3-bump method of fast 4-2? Well, it turns out, back in 2011, Weirwindle also discovered something else.
No.
Using a TAS, Weirwindle was able to clip partially inside of a block and get pushed forward.
Wait, but
several
it didn't. He
pixels.
never showed. It never
Runners
didn't even
didn't
get
look into
it.
this trick anymore back in 2011, however, because it didn't actually push you enough pixels ahead to get the 20 pixels needed.
So what's
Only
the point
about
of showing it?
17. And the inputs that
I
Weirwindle
told you
was
it's never gonna
doing
happen. This
required
guy's the
pushing
king at
left and right on the controller at
Extending
the same
out the
time,
content length.
which wasn't possible for a human. So runners forgot about it for a couple of years. But one day in 2016, Andrew G realized a couple of things. One, you didn't actually need to press left and right at the same time to get this to work. And two, you could just do a bump earlier to make up for the pixels you're short of 20. If you did all of this really quickly, you would potentially have a few more pixels to go down the pipe
Potentially.
and still be taken to the warp zone.
I have this guy's videos figured out.
Unfortunately, it was really difficult to get enough pixels from this clip while still being fast enough to save the frame rule.
So the
needed
ending's
to
gonna be,
match
oh, it's
Fast
not
4-2.
possible.
So Andrew G went back to the drawing board.
Yep.
He remembered the old tool-assisted method of clipping into the blocks at the start. His attempts at this trick from years in the past nearly universally resulted in him not clipping in, and on the extremely rare occasions when he did clip in, it was far too slow to match the fast 4-2 frame rule. But that had been a long time ago. He had gotten a lot better at the game since then. So, he tried this method again one day in early 2017.
Oh my gosh, wait.
That's not gonna happen. Like, quit gaslighting me.
Holy crap.
What? He never
I
showed
can't
it.
believe it. About 100,000 more times. What in the world? Holy crap!
What?
Holy crap!
What?
Unbelievably, the once considered impossible
did it?
TAS method was now humanly possible. If done correctly, it could just barely be fast enough to match the fast 4-2 frame rule. And while Andrew G did find some immediate success with this trick, in the long run his success rate with the trick started to go down, and no other top level runner, Cosmic D12, Darbian, or Sumwest for instance,
Sorry.
was having any notable success with it. So, 4-2
So he did it
still
one
needed some
time.
universally
Okay, fine.
agreed
I'll give him
upon
that. He did it
fastest
one
and
time.
best
It's not
method.
gonna. There's no point in saying it. He's just practicing the same loop over and over. No one's gonna do that in a
Standard
run.
Fast 4-2 was just ridiculous as well. But then, in 2017, the ultimate method for 4-2 was found, and it came from perhaps an unlikely source. This guy's name was XX420BlazeIt XX. He noticed another old tool-assisted method of clipping into
You think
the wall
that guy's
going
gonna
to
be the one that discovers it?
The reason why
420 Blaze
speedrunners
It?
never attempted this was because clipping into a wall in this way almost entirely depends on what Mario's subpixel is. Subpixels are values smaller than the pixel that tell your position on a very precise scale. You cannot normally control what your subpixels are, as they rapidly change as you play a level. So most people simply ignore
You think a
this
guy
wall
named
clip method.
XX420 Blaze It is
But
gonna
not
figure anything
420
out?
Blaze It. He realized that your subpixel values are always the same when you start a level, and this wall was right at the start of the level as well. And it turned out, the subpixels you needed to clip into the wall just so happened to be the same that you started the level with. So, 420 Blaze It ran up to the wall without doing anything else first, and jumped into it while tapping left to clip in. A couple more quick jumps, and boom, he was in, and pushed forward 20 or more pixels to the right. He usually had a few pixels of leeway to still go down the pipe, and yes, it was fast enough to match
Wait!
Fast Forward Dash 2. Runners were a
XX420
little
Blaze It
skeptical
is the
of
guy
this
that
method's
figures this
viability,
out?
but soon, runners like Mav6771 were showing it off in practice with great success. He could get it one in every few attempts, and slowly, other world record contenders began to implement it into their runs. They realized that this was it.
Into their
A
runs?
decade and a half of playing 4-2, and this method was able to send them to World 8 in the fastest time, with the best consistency. And it was all thanks to a guy named 420 Blaze It. Over the course of 14 years, the amount of work that speedrunners have spent on 4-2 is remarkable. Game developers designed this level over 30 years ago, and I doubt they could have imagined how many people would tear it apart. To discover every little jump, every possible region that could be exploited to save time. Every few years, something new is being
Nobody's
discovered
doing
that
this
makes
in
the
runs
game
though, right?
faster and more consistent. And I doubt the journey is done quite yet. Thanks for watching.
I can't believe that. XX420 Blaze It is the one that figures out how to make it doable in runs.
Hey, it's
XX420
time to
Blaze It
plug my
XX.
Twitch again. You guys should come follow me at twitch.tv/summoningsalt. I speedrun stuff there sometimes. Thanks.
I can't believe this. I can't believe that.